Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror PSA presented by Scary Nerd, and as always, we are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Saul.
And I'm Angie.
The following is a public service announcement.
Three stories in the horror genre. The first about a serial killer, the second about a hair transplant gone wrong, and the third about a baseball player. That's right. We watched 1993's Body Bags by John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper, apparently, to finish out our Carpenter month.
Our Carpenter month.
Yes.
And this movie is like John Carpenter's version of Tales from the Crypt, right? Like,
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Interesting enough. Okay. They developed this for Showtime as a pilot, first of all. And they John Carpenter wanted to make it a series pretty similar to Tales from the Crypt, I'm assuming, where it's just basically short stories like that.
Yeah.
So this was the pilot, and Showtime ended up scrapping the idea, so they made it a feature film. So the third one about the baseball player is directed by Tobe Hooper. So I'm wondering if maybe Carpenter did the first two as part of the pilot, and then when they wanted to make a feature, they had Tobe Hooper come in and direct the third one.
Okay.
But it's funny to me because they did this for Showtime and they scrapped the idea, but then years later they ended up going with Mick Garris and doing Masters of Horror, which then after 2 seasons they changed it to Fear Itself, and then they just got rid of the whole thing.
yeah, because it changed. I think it went back to Showtime as Fear Itself.
Yeah.
Because I think it.
I think they were all on Showtime.
Were they? I don't remember. But yeah, it's back and forth. The 90s were a weird time. They were trying stuff out, and
apparently Showtime didn't know what the fuck they wanted to do.
Well, the funny thing was when the movie was showing the opening credits and everything, it showed Showtime Presents. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, it's very weird. Even at the end, I was like, a Showtime film. I'm like, that just sounds weird.
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing that?
I don't remember Showtime that well. Didn't they have like almost like Cinemax stuff? Like,
Yeah.
They had Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah.
They had porn stuff. So like a Showtime movie to me, especially in the 90s or whatever, sounds like it was
staying up way later than your parents.
It's a really seedy thing, which this movie really isn't. So
Kind of.
well, I mean,
You got the whole boobs thing, yeah.
That's one thing.
Getting stuck in the drawer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Gas Station, the first of the 3 short stories in this
And
film.
Lewis is in this.
Yes.
I cannot remember him anything.
I
I know his name. I
His
know
name is Lewis.
He's always
Lewis.
Lewis Skolnick to me. But I do have to say that he did a great job in this as the villain. His facial expressions that he uses and just everything, just seeing creepy Lewis Skolnick.
He was
I
creepy.
wrote down, I love Lewis Skolnick as a creepy villain. He has great facial demeanor for it.
Yeah.
I love all of these stories because they are very ridiculous, but there's so much detail in these little stories that I also find silly and kind of funny. But like how Anne, when she's like, I'm just going to study, and then just happens to be studying psychopaths that night.
She's a psychology major.
I dig it though. And we get to see David.
Yes.
David's in
Nunn.
this one. He is from a werewolf, American werewolf in London.
How
Yes.
dare you?
I just messed it up. But yeah, no, we get all kinds of cameos in this first one. We see
Craven.
Wes Craven as an old
Wes
drunk.
Craven looks like a drunken hobo, and he's like,
Yeah, he
"Hey,
just shows up.
how
He
you
is. He's
like
hitting
it?"
on Anne. Poor Anne's just trying to study about psychopaths, and fucking Craven's there just been like, hey, you want to drink some bourbon with me in my van?
Yeah, because anyone that's like, I have some whiskey in my car.
Yeah.
I need a pack of Coronados and I have whiskey in the car.
Hard pass.
And then he's like, and then he just drives away. And I'm like, I know, like, what are you gonna do? As she,
But I
is
love
the
how he
gas
looks at
station
her.
person.
He's like,
Yeah.
fuck you then.
Hey.
He drives away.
The thing that I found funny, but then later in that little segment makes sense, is when Anne shows up. Obviously, it's gonna be her first day of work, and Bill, who's whatchamacallit, David Carradine, is like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm the new girl."
technically, he wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what makes sense later, is because he wasn't there. You find out he's the killer. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I was like, you don't know that there's a new person starting.
Yeah, no, there's so many little hints to just everything. Like we said, we got the cameos. Raimi is actually the one that Lewis has killed, who was supposed to be working at the gas station. And the only parts you see of him is a picture on a desk, and then when he falls out of the locker. Those are the only pieces he's
He's
in.
got like maybe 35 seconds of screen time.
And 0 lines. He doesn't speak at all.
No lines at all. I found it funny in the beginning of this when she's getting dropped off by her friend, and she's like, my car will be out of the shop tomorrow. And I'm like, so you found a place to fix your car that's cheaper than the company that you work for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yes, she
and
did.
I know this is her first night at this location, but still, I'm like, you didn't get a discount? Like, screw this gas station.
But when we meet David, well, when Anne meets David, she starts flirting with David, which is the American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
And they talk about how they're in Haddonfield. So
Yeah,
it's set in Haddonfield.
She goes to Haddonfield U, apparently.
Yep.
I found it funny to me when he's like, you ever feel like, hanging out? He's like, Oak Lounge by the freeway. I'm like, where is there ever a place that's called lounge, first of all?
By a freeway.
And by a freeway that's ever a classy joint.
Yeah, that
you
you just really want to hang out
I think of him like, was this a strip club maybe? Like he was
Could have been.
Like maybe he was into some freaky shit. He's like, come on, let's go look at naked chicks and we'll play pool and
Oh, and we also get to see the bum from They Live, Back to the
Buck.
Future, the
Yes.
professional hobo.
I put it,
He's in
Buck
everything.
playing one of many drunken hobos in his
Yes.
illustrious career.
He
He
just
just
wants the
stumbles from town to
bathroom.
town.
So what happens to him? Did he die? Was he in that stall dead?
No, he was dead in the
was.
truck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Because when she goes in there, when she looks for him, I was like, "Where is he?" Then the other guy was like, "He's asleep by the toilet or whatever."
Yeah, Lewis must have came in right after that. I don't remember his name in this thing, but he's just Lewis.
Well, he's
Rand.
Bill technically. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think he ever
Yes.
had a name other than Bill.
Yeah.
When she finally fights him after he breaks the glass and gets into the little gas station hut basically, and when she's in the back room after she finally sees the real Bill come out of the locker or whatever, when she hits Lewis over the face with that stool, I remember thinking
You better do it again.
no, I was like, okay. I was like, that dirty ass step stool that everyone's shitty boots, like literal
Yeah.
shit boots, have been stepping on, and you hit him right in the face. But no, you keep beating that motherfucker
Yeah.
until something on the inside comes on the outside, and that's when you stop.
Yeah.
And I love that he, when he gets up and starts going outside, and then he has that seemingly last breath, and he's like, bitch. And I'm like, that was his last word.
He goes down 4 times,
Yeah,
and I
he's like,
find it hilarious.
The thing that I found weird too is him. Why? Okay, he has a sledgehammer. Obviously, he's going to destroy and fuck up some shit. She's in that little shack thing of where all the stuff is. Okay, why the hell is he going after the biggest, probably hardest part of glass?
Right, go through the
to
door.
get to her?
Oh, yeah.
Go
I'm
through
like,
the
there's
glass
probably
door.
smaller windows that you can get through, but
Or yeah, that sledgehammer, you take it to the doorknob, and
Yeah.
that would probably be a lot quicker.
He's like,
but
you're
it
over-
doesn't.
yeah.
It doesn't build the suspense though.
you're
That's
overexerting yourself for something that you're probably going to need energy for.
He's a crates killer, not
that's
like a
And hey, I have
intelligent
another. I have a question. The guy who went and checked on the bum, right? When they pull
Yeah.
up into the car,
Yeah.
those two, they're obviously partying. Was she going down on him because you don't see her
It
head
seemed
at
like it to
first?
me.
kind of looked like it, and then when he gets, when he stands up, it looks like he turns around like he's zipping up his.
Yeah.
So maybe.
So I was like, are we
it
rules of
kind
the
of
roading
seemed that,
again?
That's what
It
it
kind of
like.
seemed that way.
Yes.
Well, I think he knew her before that. I hope anyway.
And I get that she goes to the garage the first time to find the keys when she gets locked out because she runs after
Yes.
David because he forgets his credit
That
card.
bitch couldn't even pump gas.
Yeah.
So she was going down on him.
Yeah. But anyway, when Anne goes to inspect where the hobo is, I'm like, bitch, you probably making minimum wage. What are you doing? This
Like,
is not
you're
your
putting
job.
Too much of an effort.
Your job is to stay in the booth, and that is it.
The thing that I love
Yeah.
that the hobo did is that he did the exact same thing that she did to him, because when she went to go look for the keys, she kept stopping and turning back and looking at him, stopping, turning back and looking
Yeah.
at him. And then when she gives him the key for the bathroom, he does the exact same thing. He stops, turns back and looks at her. Stop, turns back and looks at her.
Well, he was probably like, "Is she really going to let me do this?" He's like, he probably tries every night to go. Can I have the bathroom key? And go back to the bathroom, but he ends up sleeping there. So he's probably like, "Did she fall for this? Oh, okay."
Like,
then.
she's not going to stop me.
Little did he know.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Buck.
Oh, and then when she finds, so Lewis gives her a phone number when she still thinks that he's the
Yeah.
thing. Why does she call him first? She's like, oh shit, I just saw a dead body. Why is she trying to call Lewis first instead of calling the cops first?
Because it's a movie.
I think she did try calling the cops at one point, and I don't know if it was.
was on
busy
hold.
Or,
No, that
yeah.
was okay. That's when he's coming at
That's
her with
later,
the
right?
That's
Oh,
when he's
okay.
coming after
Okay.
her with the sledgehammer. But she already saw the dead body. She sees the guy. She sees him in the other building or whatever. I don't know if she can tell it's Lewis at
Yeah.
that point, but she sees him. So why wouldn't she just be like, all right, 911 first before I try to call the other attendant that works here? I don't know. That just seems weird to
And
me.
how secure is this place really? If you can just bust into that other place and find keys to
Yeah.
the little hut that's got all
I know
the money
she
and
didn't
cigarettes.
she just opened the garage
Anyway,
door.
she opened the garage door, which I'll give that to, because if Lewis had already murdered people. He killed Bill, obviously.
Yeah.
And he probably left it open so he can get in and out or whatever. But the keys in the desk, and like, they were just the first keys you found. Like, luckily they were the right ones. But I mean, I know it's a movie and all that shit.
Yeah.
But it just really didn't make it too secure for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that was going to happen. Like, as soon as he told her where the keys were, like, oh, don't lock yourself out because it's a self-locking thing. Like, she's going to lock herself out.
Yeah,
Yep.
you put those in your fucking pocket, or if they got one of those stretchy bands, you put it around your wrist or something. Like, you don't lose those keys. They'd be like, you're going to be stuck here in the middle of the night with no one
Outside.
around until 6 a.m. when someone shows up to relieve you for your shift. Like, yeah, it's you're gonna want to keep those fucking keys around.
No, she kept frustrating me with how dumb she was. Like, I was
Yeah.
getting so annoyed. Like, because
Dumb college student.
her character didn't seem dumb, but all the choices she made were dumb.
Well,
like
the other
getting
thing they
into
told her-
the car. Like, why did
Yeah.
she go back into the garage, pull the dead guy out of the truck, and then get
I'm like,
in it? What is your plan here?
It's 50-50 that truck's gonna run because it's in a fucking garage being fixed.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of there.
there was it struck me as funny too how much Lewis knew about the gas station. He's like, oh, well, you do this. I'm like, did I just picture a scene where he's torturing Raimi and be like, all right, now what's the phone number to that room? Now what's this? Now how much are the cigarettes? Like, it's like,
Baby Sam Raimi.
A lot of information for him.
Well, then again, it could have been one of those things where Sam Raimi's character, this is just me thinking, is that as he's getting killed, he's like, you're not going to get away because there's somebody new that's coming.
Well, he seemed like he didn't even know somebody was coming. Because he was like, who are you? How can I help you? What do you want?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah, you're new. Well, yeah, here, do this, do that, and I'm going to go now.
I wrote a note like, oh, he thought he had strength, but then he falls down. But then he finds the strength again to somehow get up. And then he's tired.
And I didn't see in the trivia, and I don't remember, but was that Sam Raimi's car?
The yellow.
The one that Lewis
I didn't
drives
pay
away
attention.
in.
I didn't pay attention.
It
didn't.
wasn't yellow. It definitely looked like it was just primered and kind of all old and beat up. But I'm like, I don't know if that was his car that he always puts in everything. I mean,
Might have to
it would
look,
be interesting.
Might
But
have to go back and look. Well, doesn't he do that if he's directing though?
Yeah, but I don't know. It seemed like it was, if it was not the same car, then it's
was
definitely
close to
very,
it.
very similar
Yeah.
to his, but definitely not the same color.
But yeah, go back a little bit to when you were saying that when she got into that truck in the shop. Like once the damn thing started going up, I was like, what the fuck are you still doing in there? Get the fuck
hop
out.
out. Why? Like, because she saw the truck go up earlier.
Yeah.
Because she thought somebody was in there, and that's when she first tried to call Lewis, and then the phone was busy. But like, why would no? Just run, bitch!
But,
like, you've
okay.
hurt that man enough to where he's
Yes.
at least limping.
Yes.
But
Run.
even if you're in the car or, whatever, the truck that's getting lifted, like, there's no danger to her, though. It's not like
No.
the truck's going to get smashed on the roof or anything.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was
guess.
talking about too. Is like, it's gonna stop at one point.
Yeah.
And then here's my question: when Lewis finally does get killed, does he get killed by the platform or does he get crushed by the truck? Because the truck obviously has wheels and it's going to stop at a certain point.
I don't know. He did get crushed under the truck.
I would probably think that at that point that it was more of the lift, because there's
Yeah.
usually like the
Yeah.
the long bars that kind of that are movable to go under the key places that you need to when you're lifting a truck. So yeah, the clearance in that I don't think would have been enough. I mean, it would have stopped, and like you said, there would have been enough room for him.
Because I looked at Kim, I'm like, okay, what killed him? I was like, it couldn't have been the truck because there's too much of a clearance.
I love how it takes him a good 45 seconds after he's been crushed to finally die.
The only issue that I had with this segment, right, and it's kind of a weird thing. They do this tracking shot the first time that she goes in. I think when she finds Buck dead in the truck, they do this weird tracking shot where it's like low by like her hips and it's following. And I love that shot. It's very creepy. It's like following her into the garage. But then when they cut to going her in, they have her going into the garage. They have this weird angle that's it's like the killer's looking at her, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then she turns and looks at the camera directly as she's looking at something or whatever and starts walking towards it. And you're like, okay, well, obviously the killer is not the camera.
Yeah.
But then she steps on that hose and it does like that weird thing where the camera jerks and she looks at it again and makes you kind of feel like they were using that to kind of trick you as like, it's the killer, but it's not. But then something happens.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of a weird use of that kind of angle to me that I'm like, it doesn't really fit. It kind of takes you in and out, but it probably doesn't because most people don't even pay attention to that
No,
shit,
they
so-
don't. You're just the only one that
I'm
cares.
sorry. I love cinema. Sorry.
But David comes to the rescue before the truck crushes Lewis to death.
And he got his ass kicked by
Yeah, and
another.
I'm like, how shitty would that have been? And you'd be like, well, I forgot my credit card, and then I go back and like, oh shit, this guy's trying to kill the chick that I was flirting with to go to the strip club
This
with.
is not the kind of night I
And
wanted.
he just runs up on him and then just gets like flipped over, and like Lewis just flips him, and then he
Lewis
just
kicks his ass.
and like he was a crazy killer. That's what I'm saying. You don't expect this from Lewis. Skull dick.
That's the thing that threw me off. It's like it's a nerd and he's
Lamb to
whipping his
lamb to
ass.
lamb.
Yeah, he did a great job in it. I don't know if he's done any other like crazed killers or villains like that, but I think he'd be.
He was Lizzie McGuire's dad for a long time.
Well, I don't think he could be a crazed killer at that point.
Yeah.
This is what the aftermath of Lizzie
The
McGuire.
Disney, yeah.
So they kill him and they leave.
Forgot my credit card equals polar bear fell on me. Roadhouse.
I don't think so.
She's got to go to the Oak Lounge now. Like she saved her life.
I mean, it's fair.
Well,
She owes
no.
him one. Gratitude.
Did he save her life? Because she's the one that puts the thing down at the end.
Well, he has distracted him long enough to make him fall down underneath the thing, and then she crushed at him.
Yes.
Right. Back to the morgue.
Back to the morgue, and the boobs that get stuck in the drawer. And I couldn't tell,
got
were these
frozen.
real boobs or were they fake boobs? Because they looked
They're
fake.
fake. They were
Okay,
fake.
They were
had
like
to have
a
been
fake body, yeah?
Okay, that had to have been a fake body, right? Because
had
there's
to.
something in the trivia that doesn't make sense to me, and I would love to know more about it. But it said that was provided by Ron Jeremy. So was that like a sex doll of his?
I have a feeling that's what it was.
Or if it was a real person, I'm like, how does this
No.
provided by Ron Jeremy? Like you found this?
It had to be some
It's a
sort of
sex
weird
slave.
sex doll type of
I
thing.
hope everybody had gloves that had to touch it. Ew. Ron Jeremy's so gross.
Some poor PA back. This is the 90s. Nobody
Yeah.
had gloves.
Like, I get it. He did stuff for porn and yeah. But, like, people are like, yeah, I fucked Ron Jeremy. Like, no, don't fuck
He's
that dude. He
dirty.
nasty.
I know. It's like, why? Like, he's
Yeah,
gross.
why?
Like he just looked like
It's
if he
not
was
even a good story.
No.
Yeah, like if he was a regular dude that just looked the way he did, you wouldn't care. Like,
Yes.
I'm like, but that he's done porn, so you're like, oh, he's famous. I'm like, okay, he's still
I don't
gross
know.
looking.
People like serial killers. They think they're
now,
hot. Richard
yeah.
Ramirez. He didn't even have any fucking teeth, and they were like,
know.
yeah,
And like, there's a million meth heads that look exactly like that.
exactly
You're
like
what's the
Richard Ramirez.
goddamn
All right,
difference,
we're not
man?
true crime podcast. Sorry, we've been watching a lot of documentaries lately.
So now we go into the second one.
My favorite one. It's the most
hair.
ridiculous one.
Long, beautiful hair.
I do have to say that Stacy Keach's character, Richard, says a line that I'm going to start using
Yeah.
because it fits me.
What is it?
When his girlfriend leaves on him and he yells at her, "Well, just walk out on a bald guy."
I love
a
how
good
there's
way to
like
win
a
an argument.
3-minute opening scene of him just getting his comb over right.
Yes.
He's just got to get that comb in the right direction.
I wrote down Richard's a little too old to be this insecure about his hair, but
Yeah.
okay, I do have a question regarding hair loss and toupees and all that shit. Do men that wear a hairpiece actually think it looks real, or do they feel that the horrible looking hairpiece is still better
than
looking than being
bald?
bald?
No,
'Cause
as a bald man.
really what I want. But you don't wear a toupee. So
No, here's the thing I always told myself, and I don't know why more people don't think this. If your hair starts thinning or you start going bald, just shave the damn thing because there's no redeeming it.
No.
Like even if I said, "Oh, I'm going to wear a wig or I'm a toupee," I was like, deep down I know it's not my real hair.
For you though, like we've known you long enough with your shaved head that it's like if you started having a toupee
Yes.
now, it would just look fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
like everyone
I'd be
that
like,
knows you
no,
would be
don't
like,
do that.
what?
Yeah.
Like, what did you do?
But I mean, for him, it's like it was noticeable to those people that were probably closest to him, like his girlfriend and everything like that.
His girlfriend was fucking fine the whole time. He's
Yes.
just like, I think you look distinguished. She's like, it's not like I have hair. I'm like a baby. Like, Jesus, Richard.
Like a baby, Richard. Well, I have hair like a baby.
Chill
That's literally
out.
what he says.
Yes. Oh, he's so funny. He
And
gets
his whole
so
hair loss
upset.
things hit him like all of a sudden, like it just happened overnight. I'm like, dude, you would know this. It shit progresses.
Yeah, it's been happening for a while, Richard.
Yeah, but I love how he goes to the store and just buys all those products and
Yeah, was
head
it the
massage.
extract of lamb fetus? I
Yeah.
think was one of them. No, he went straight Giuliani with the grease shit. when
Oh
she-
Oh,
my
yeah, no, I
gosh, that
put
was
it looks
funny.
like he has shit on his head because
Yeah,
that's what it
literally,
looks like.
And then when she kisses
Yes.
the top and he starts cracking up at her, I'm like, but that was because of you. What are you laughing
You
at?
put that nonsense on your
She
head.
looks ridiculous because of you and what you're doing. So imagine how much more ridiculous you actually look, Richard.
and y'all,
Well, I love how how he went to the hairdresser and the hairdresser actually made it look good. And then the next day, that's when he does the whole.
He gave him the flock of seagulls.
He did give him a flock of seagulls.
I wrote down that's the Kato Kalin, the hairdresser.
Yes.
And I find I find it funny that when Richard has hair and he comes back to Kato Kalin to come, fix his hair or whatever, he gives he kisses his weird hairdresser crest necklace and he's like, okay, Richard, let's do this now.
Well, maybe it's for luck. You don't know.
I guess. Yeah, but in that scene, I was like, all these people are so horned up about Richard's long hair that no one notices the fucking hair inching away on the floor.
No, I know. Nobody notices a lot of things, but I dig how he's so upset about going bald, and then he finds a random commercial. Yeah. And it's so generic. It's called the Roswell procedure, guys.
Like the Ninja Turtle scientist guy says, he's like, vanity is your downfall or whatever. He has a thing. He's like, we needed a way. So we needed a way to, incorporate ourselves and be able to eat your human brains. It's the only thing that can sustain us or whatever, when he explains it to him at the end.
Yeah.
And so I got to thinking, is this what's happening to Giuliani?
It might be.
Did he just get some sort of implant and then, after the greasy shit, and that's why he's been going progressively fucking
now he has
shit?
snakes in his blood.
That's what it is, though. I found it really silly on Richard's part when the doctor is like, here, let me show you something, then slices his fucking arm open.
Oh, I know.
Nothing.
And
he's just like,
no,
what?
I put the nurse reminds me of the nurse from the Animaniacs. She's so
nurse. Hello, nurse.
Yes, she's so generic and got that little hat on. And
I wrote down that she's the perfect amalgamation of bimbos trying to get insecure men to buy something.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's a brand new sports car or it's here, let us infect you with our aliens.
Look, it's our stallion. Look.
That cracked me up when they took his picture and they started imposing.
She put it in a VCR.
She put the picture in a VCR.
I'm like, what the fuck is that going to do? Do you think we're not noticing this shit?
We all see that's clearly just a VCR.
And it was the 90s, so it's not like we didn't know what VCRs were.
That shit cracked me up though, because everything had its own little name. Do you have the buzz cut? The buzz cut.
He's very popular with the military athletes and Republicans.
And then they get to the stallion, which is the most over the top one. He's like, that one, I want that one.
It's funny. I found it funny in that scene because it was clearly a picture of him, and then they superimposed the different hairstyles until you got to the stallion look, and then it was it's clearly a picture of him already in the wig and shit.
That cracked me up because the next scene you see is him in that long, luxurious hair.
Oh wait!
After he unwraps his head,
that head unwrapping scene always reminds me of The Simpsons when Homer bought the
hair tonic,
the Demoxenil, and he has that same head wrapping scene, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
Speaking of cartoon things, the little snakes. What did that remind you of?
I don't know. There's a couple of things. The shitty CGI of it, or just the snakes in general?
The snakes in general. It took me to the Futurama episode where Fry eats the gas station sushi.
That's right. When he gets
those worms improve him. That's what it reminded me of when those were in there.
That is a good episode. Let's go back a minute to after Kato Kalin, the hairdresser, when Richard goes outside and he's watching Greg Nicotero walk the dog with his long, flowing golden locks.
He's got some blonde golden locks.
Such a random cameo, and he just looks so clueless and nonchalant in the scene,
walking his
just
dog,
the smile, walking the dog, and I'm like, good for you.
Yep.
I love that montage because again, it was playing on his insecurities. He realizes he's going bald. He goes outside. He sees everybody with their luxurious hair.
As a bald man, Saul, have you done that before?
Looking
longingly at people with hair?
No.
Okay.
I'll be like, that would suck to try to maintain.
A lot of these horror movies, because think about it, when we did Silver Bullet, right? We were there's this whole scene of him staring longingly at people's legs.
Yeah.
I'm why do people?
It's a movie trope.
Yeah. Why do people think that's if you can't walk, you automatically want legs? Fuck, I want to roll around the whole time. I don't want legs anymore.
It's not the fact that they want to walk so much. It's maybe just want the option, Andrew.
Maybe. But I did write a note. I did write a note about this segment, that this segment is just about loving your true self.
Yes.
And embracing your own body and flaws. So love yourself, kids. That's our horror PSA this week.
For you.
Don't go get hair stuff that's going to be aliens that eat your brain, okay?
And you should know something's up if that whatever procedure you get done gave you overnight results.
Yeah.
Yeah, where is that ever gonna fucking work, man?
It's not.
That's there was a creep show in the new series on Shudder. There was a creep show episode where they were putting some weird worm inside you to help with weight loss. And it wasn't like exactly like overnight or whatever, but it just like ate the fat and like, people got super skinny. Like it started off with like these really obese people going to this thing, and this guy's like, oh, I did it to me. We found this worm, and they're like, and then this like solar eclipse happened, and like the worms ended up like eating all these people. And
no, what that had happened is that they had laid eggs when they ate the fat. Oh. And so when the solar eclipse happened, that was their birthday.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Yeah. So anything that has any sort of really quick results.
Yeah, just stay away from it.
And then his ass should have known something was up too when his hair got longer.
Oh, no, he's got his groove back at that point. He's out there fucking bitches. He's out there showing off at the hair salon. Like, he's just out there being like, look at my hair flow in the wind.
And then when it actually starts going through his face and he kind of looks Wolfmanish.
Yeah, well, he starts feeling like he's getting a cold because he says he has a sore throat. And I love when he goes into the bathroom and you see the little thing in the back of his throat looking around.
I'm like, okay, I understand like it's the worms or the aliens or whatever you want to call it that when he looks at the phone book after that and like he just lays back down and passes out.
So tired,
so
yeah.
Like, I'm sure it was them like, controlling him or whatever. But
I know this was a whole 90s thing though, but I love how the fact he had a phone book in his nightstand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I don't even know where to find a phone book if I wanted one right now.
And I grew up in the 90s, so like we had a phone book obviously, but it was more of like, where's the goddamn phone book? Like we never had a spot for it.
It was always just thrown
used it
somewhere.
As a prop for something, like if you wanted to
hold the door open,
yeah.
Hold the door open. You put what?
Put stuff like if you wanted to stack stuff up higher, like at the phone book. Yeah, that's literally what it was all used for. I think I've used the phone book, like an actual phone book, in my life maybe like 5 times.
Yeah, like what would you need it for now? Like you can find everything online.
Yeah,
are they even still a thing? Do they still send phone books? Is that a thing anymore?
But after his little nap, he wakes up and he's hairy all over.
Yes,
all over.
It was hairy.
He needs to shave really, really bad.
And I love how it's like growing out of his cheeks now. Yes. Like it's just growing every which way.
It did look very like wolf-like or whatever. And then, the throat one affected his voice apparently because when he came to the doctor, he's like, "What's going on to me?"
I thought that he was just mad.
Oh, let's talk about the doctor, though.
He gets high pitched for these men. Like, why would you do this?
Hey, sometimes when I get grossed out, I get squeaky. Y'all have probably heard it.
I don't know.
Let's talk about that doctor. I know Paul mentioned it, but as soon as I saw him, like, it's the doctor from Turtles too.
Like, don't trust. Like, he's gonna screw something up. Trust me, this guy's a little shady here.
Yeah, he is. He's always shady. He always has that look, though. He's always like the shady doctor. It's just he's got the perfect look for it.
So, this one in particular, the hair segment, it was kind of weird because it had Sheena Easton played Richard's girlfriend. Was that Kathy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was 80s like pop star, I guess. And then the other thing, the nurse girl was also...
Kim recognized her. She was a singer for a band. I forget which one. Blondie?
Yeah, she's Blondie.
Debbie Harry. Yes. She was also in the band Blondie. So I'm like, kind of weird that there's just random, this movie had those random like musicians trying to turn into, being actors. But a lot of actors get their start in horror movies. So it also kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Might as well. And then we're back on to the next one.
But what is it that they do with him?
They just sit him down. We don't see anything after.
At the end, they sit him down, and it's clearly the aliens or the worms or whatever have taken over his mind, and he's just kind of mush at that point.
Yeah, they give
and
the
then
master plan.
It seems like she's kind of removing hair to be kind of used again.
Okay.
And so I think it's really they're just growing as much as they can. So they're going to take it from him, split it up, throw it on a few other insecure dudes, and then just keep going that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then until they've invaded everybody's.
If you're a bald
body.
guy, be a funny bald guy about it. Like make fun of it. Like get those hats that have hair with it that you look ridiculous. But just know that you're like,
you don't have to do anything. If you're bald, you're bald, man.
Yes.
Just be
I'm
bald.
saying if you're gonna do something, be a funny bald guy. Don't be be a regular bald guy or be a funny bald guy. Don't go the other way.
Just do you.
Just accept it.
Love
no one's gonna buy it.
Everybody loves you.
Yes.
You matter.
Yes.
You can get your hair tattooed, Saul. So
I don't want to do that.
So if you wanted to get your hairline...
Well, apparently Paul's not going to be okay with going bald.
I'm not gonna do it.
I've never liked long hair to begin with, so... And who the fuck likes hair? Because Kathy, his girlfriend, when he was like, she's like, of course I like hair. I'm like, who likes hair? Like, that's not a thing. I'm like, look at her hair. Yeah, it's not a thing for
Yeah.
me.
All I just think of too now that I am bald, it's like I said earlier,
About
all that hair,
You just think about hair.
especially long hair. It's like too much maintenance. Like no,
Shave your beard, glue it to your head.
no,
There you go.
no.
Hair, you can grow the beard back.
See, I can't grow that one stuff up here. I'll grow the
Paul's
beard.
got all these ideas locked and loaded, so I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Paul's kind of insecure about going.
I've got all these ideas for Saul.
Don't let them watch any late night infomercials,
I won't.
especially if they're here. I'd be like, wait, we've seen this before.
Paul's gonna get
I'll
sucked
just
in.
wear a hat, man. I'll just be like Ron Howard. I'll just wear a hat. Man.
There you go.
Ron Howard got the right idea. Just throw a hat on.
Do we go back to the morgue after this? I don't
Yeah, we go back to the
We
morgue.
do go back
Okay.
to the morgue for a bit, and that's when I think he's looking for stuff.
Yeah, he's looking for the
has
stuff in that-
little monologues again.
And that transitions us into the next one with the eye because he said, "Oh, this one, whatever need be," and he puts the eye in the martini
in the
glass.
martini. That's right. Yes, and then we move on to the baseball one with Mark Hamill. Luke Skywalker.
This was my favorite of the three, I think, just because, and I love that this whole movie was set up as to where, like, the first one is a slasher kind of thing, where it's different types of genres in this one segment. So I love that they did that, and just kind of you get just a little bit of variety with it. And I know they ended up, planned on making this as a show to begin with. So obviously it was going to be different every week. And you don't want the same thing. But this one I think is my favorite because I really think Mark Hamill does an amazing job with this. I haven't seen him too much as a villain really in film wise. I know he's done.
What are you talking about? Cockknocker?
Animation and stuff like that.
Paul doesn't like Kevin Smith.
I've never seen that.
You haven't seen Jay and Silent? There, he plays a villain in that. He's Cockknocker.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
No, okay. I mean an actual villain in a movie. Not,
He was a villain in a movie.
That's a comic book movie.
Still.
It's a comic book movie for guys that are 50 and still think that they have time to make comics.
Well, Mark Hamill is a baseball player, and his name is Brent.
I don't like the fact that he had that mustache. Something about it just threw me off.
It made him look a little creepy, like a little molestery kind of.
It's just a little. To me, it made him look sleazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works for the character that he plays.
Well, when he gets so he loses an eye. Can we just talk about he loses this eye because
In the
he get
dumbest way freaking
because
possible.
a cassette tape.
It's cassettes. Like, imagine that. Like, imagine if that was your dad, right? And you're like, oh, I lost my dad because he was reaching over for a cassette. People today would be like, what the fuck is a cassette?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, and if it's raining, you weren't looking on the floor for a tape to put in the deck, man.
I mean, let's not be too harsh. Okay, and here's the difference. We've all done that stupid thing where, like, I'm grabbing a CD or I'm reaching over for this or grab my
Something,
cell
but you're
phone.
not like staring at it.
But we've all done that, and it's like, I've even done the thing where, like, I'm gonna undo my seatbelt and grab something real quick. But that was like at a fucking stoplight. You know? Like, I'm not going to be like, I'm driving, barreling down the fucking freeway in the middle of the night.
Especially when it's pouring rain.
It's dark as shit and it's raining. I'm like, I got to hear the Doobie Brothers on my
hear
cassette.
this song
man.
right now.
If I don't get that right now.
God, do you remember how annoying it was to find that one song too? Because you had to fast forward that bitch or rewind that bitch.
Remember when the highest tech thing in your world was like, this boombox will fast forward until the next song. Stop automatically.
Wait,
How does
what?
it even know?
I never had one of those.
I never had one either, but I saw them in stores and I know other people that had them. I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever.
I got one by the
not.
time I had my own CD player.
What?
So
Okay, my mind's been. I had no idea those things even existed.
yes, they did.
They
They
were
were
very
magical.
high. I think they came out like right before CDs and shit. So it was like, well, it's kind of obsolete
Yeah,
anyway.
there was like a good 5-year period where like technology just went too fast for like the VCR and tape cassette era, and then it just jumped forward all of a sudden. And I was like, sorry guys, y'all got left behind.
Okay, I have a horror PSA. And I do have to say, I've taken my EMT basic before. So I know the basics of, helping someone out. But my horror PSA is if you come upon an accident scene, don't make the face like the guy does and say, Jesus Christ. It does not help the situation. Just be aware of who you are. And are you concerned? I'm going to call for help or stay in the car and let others go into the wreck. That's fine. Not everyone is a run into the burning building kind of person, and that's okay. Yeah. So if you're that, I'm going to stay in the car and call for help people because you know that if I get out there, I'm going to either look at this guy and puke or be like, Jesus fucking Christ, like that guy did.
God.
Oh my god!
Yes.
I'd probably be the person that stays in the car and be like, I don't want to see any fucked up shit.
See, I'm not. I'm like, is there any eyes hanging out? What do you got? But I know how to fix all that.
I love how they both go up to the window and they're like, sir? Like all snooping in there, like, oh, white people, get out of here if you're not helping. Get out of here.
Horror PSA: if the eye is out, keep it wet with gauze and wrap it up, and then you're supposed to cut a hole in a cup, put it over the eye, and tape that to their face so they don't touch it or mess with it. Because you definitely want to keep that eye moist if you want it to survive.
Yes, but he gets a massive piece of glass in his eye from not paying attention and trying to find a cassette tape on the floor.
Wait, where did this glass come from?
The windshield.
Windshields don't do that in real life, but we're gonna overlook that.
Yes, because it's a movie.
Yes.
The windshield did break, so but he wakes up and he's like, I can't play baseball no more.
Come on, Doug, you're just going to put me on the DL for 10 days? Like, okay, well, you don't have a fucking eye.
I don't have an eye. And he's like, but this is the eye that I see the baseballs with.
I love the Dr. Eye Guy. I don't even know his real name, but Roger Corman played Dr. Eye Guy. So
Yes.
that was another great cameo. I thought it was funny that his first thing was like, I can play baseball again? And I'm like, or, you're able to blink without going completely dark. But yeah, baseball, let's focus on that.
Or you'll be able to see your son or your child that's coming into the world with both eyes.
Yeah.
That thing, yeah.
He was an asshole after he lost that eye.
He was. And I love how when the doctor talks to him and then he starts talking to his wife, he's like, well, this is God's will. Like,
I wrote down, I think it's funny, okay, he mentioned God's will. I'm like, it's so funny to me that the people that always say it's God's will, I'm like, do you really think God's got nothing better to do than worry about what the fuck's going on in your life? Like,
no, see, I was just like, oh, it's God's will that I lost my perfectly healthy other eye.
Yeah, so it's like
that's God's will.
It's God's will for me to get this surgery. I'm like, but wasn't it God's will for you to
lose that eye?
Like,
so maybe you should just keep what God gave you and call it even, man.
If it's all a part of God's plan, like,
Yeah.
I don't get that damn logic when
I don't
people
either.
say that too. It's like you start breaking it down, you rewind and be like, okay, wait a minute.
Something good happens. Oh, thank you. It was God. Something bad happens. Like, I don't know. Maybe that was God.
God's
maybe
plan.
you're an asshole and God was punishing you.
Yeah, he willed all of this shit based on your logic. So there's no good or bad. That's what was going to happen to you, period.
Yep. So the logic isn't there.
I thought it was funny that when they're doing the eye surgery, I'm like, why was that eye just in kind of like an ice cream shop dish? They just had it like this weird, like, old timey ice cream shops that had like that kind of weird, like, angled dish kind of thing. It was just sitting on top
Well,
of
the thing
there.
that was funnier is how that one doctor introduced the other doctor and saying, oh, this guy has an idea. And then when he tells them that, oh, I've been doing this research and we can do these transplants, but nobody will ever let me do it. I'm like, if nobody's ever letting you do it, then why the fuck do they still have you in that damn hospital?
Yeah, at this point,
If you're the one who wants to fucking do it.
Yeah, it's an experimental procedure.
He just hangs out. He's slipped a 20 to like nurses. Like, anybody comes in with any eye injury.
Yeah, let me know. But yeah, he starts seeing things when he gets home from the hospital. And is it almost immediately?
Almost.
Yeah, but okay, during the surgery, I wrote down, what would make the surgery of a loved one even fucking worse? Having to sit with a fucking priest while he reads selection of scripture related to for that particular surgery. Like, he was reading really related eye shit. Like
what the hell point of this shit that was?
Father, could you just shut up? Like, he's in surgery right now. I don't need to be hearing this shit.
I know.
No, you're going to scare the shit out of him.
I thought that the religious, like, undertones was so misplaced in this one. Because, yes, Brent is, like, he's Southern, I guess, at certain points.
Yeah.
But he does talk about religion and, like, it's God's will and blah, blah, blah. But
John Randall.
yeah, but then there's parts where, like, they get really religious. And I'm just like, it's so confusing.
It really seems like his, like, whole religious views, like, got more and more as it went on.
Yeah.
Which is weird because as he was going with the serial killer was taking over more or whatever, who called himself, I'm the devil or whatever. So I'm like, I don't know, like, maybe he was trying to combat it with it. Like
and I find it funny that they're like, oh, I have his eyes, so I have his memories. I'm like, that's not a thing.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the horror movie trope that you get something from a serial killer, they're going to
invade your whole body.
Yeah, they're going to invade your whole body.
And he starts seeing large chested women popping out of the dirt in his backyard.
Yeah. I wrote down his wife was like, I'm sorry, I can't have sex with you while some dead guy's eye is staring at me.
And that's fair.
I'm like, all right, that's fair.
Yeah.
And I love it. He's like, wait, is it the eye? I'm like, really? That's where you went? Like, you didn't think about that right away? Like, what's different in this equation since the last time we fucked, huh? Maybe the dead guy's eye. That's a different fucking color.
I didn't like that he had all the memories because I don't think, like you said, it's a trope or whatnot. But I do like the flashbacks, like the busty chick in the dirt.
The mom was my favorite.
Funny. The mom, the drunk mom, because he was just a baby and he gets burned by a cigarette in the crib. Yeah, there was that one, and then the hand in the garbage disposal, and
that was a good one.
Yeah.
So did John Randall kill and sex his mother?
I am assuming so, because he has that flash of the mother.
But he also says something when he's giving that line, when Hamill's giving that line to his girlfriend after he ties her hair up to the table, like just before the end, when he's like, "Oh, John knew what to do with him. Like he didn't like him cold." But it seemed like he was. It seemed like he was kind of into necrophilia at the same time.
Well, yeah, but he killed them. He says he killed them, and then while they were still warm.
Okay, so
and then John doesn't like when they get cold.
That's what he was saying.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was confused about. I'm like, but does he like them cold or not? Like, you can't really throw them in the microwave after that.
No,
like,
you can't reheat. They're spoiled after that time.
Well, it's like in Not Another Teen Movie where the dad, played by Randy Quaid, is batshit crazy as well. There's a scene where there's like a cabbage or something with a dick hole in it under the table.
Ew.
So he probably threw that in the microwave, kind of thing.
Gross. But Brent, when they're getting frisky, Brent kind of freaks out and
starts choking her.
No, he bites her.
Oh yeah, that's what
he bites her shoulder.
Okay, we saw way too much of Mark Hamill than I was in.
Way too much of Mark Hamill.
He had the I think they call them like modesty socks or whatever.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be a bit more. But it was like, because thank God, you saw taint, but you didn't see like balls or anything.
You saw undercarriage.
You saw undercarriage, but I think what you saw was the fabric thing that was covering the actual junk.
I don't know.
So
I just saw a lot of Luke Skywalker.
I don't need to see
no.
Luke's lightsaber, okay?
I didn't need to see Luke's undercarriage.
Oh, and speaking of cameos, his wife was played by Twiggy, who was a model as well. So again, a lot of random cameos from a diverse thing, not just film.
Well, Carpenter and Showtime were like, "Look, I want to make the show. Who we got in LA this weekend?"
Hey, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Call in favors, use your resources.
It's like
why
the
not?
worst they can say is no.
Yeah, there you go. We're gonna put these people
apparently
in.
It opened the doors for Mick Garris later, so thank God, because I love Masters of Horror. Great show.
But when Brent bites his girlfriend, I'm like, no, hit him with a rolled up newspaper or something. Like, no biting.
Bad Luke Skywalker.
Bad Brent.
I think his character, or his performance of the character, not only is just his performance, but like the physicality he brings to the difference between, his character as the baseball player and when he's kind of possessed by John Randall. Like, he completely changes like his demeanor and his physicality, and like he does a really good job of doing these two characters.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this character, because I think it's probably the mustache, but his character in this movie it always reminds me of, I always forget he's in the beginning of Sleepwalkers when he's that cop or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's the same looking like mustache kind of look, because I'm like, I always confuse him. Like, so then he got a different eye and he went on to be a cop later. He was okay with it.
Yep.
So.
He lived his dreams.
That he did.
But Brent gets mad and goes and finds the doctor, and he's like, "Yo, doc, where the fuck did you get this eye?" As he's shaking him in the parking lot.
He was waiting for him. That's the one thing that I thought was funny. He just drives to the hospital, parks in the spot, and then Doc rolls up and he just runs up on him.
Yeah, he does. He just runs up out of nowhere, and the doctor's like, "Are you crazy? Like, listen, bitch, things are happening.
I'm seeing shit.
You said these headaches were gonna go away. You said I would just see what I'm seeing now, not history. I don't know. I'm crazy." But yeah, he goes all crazy, and then he goes back, and that's when he ties his girlfriend up by the hair.
Wait.
No, he digs the hole first.
Yeah, before that, he digs the hole, and she's like, "Well, what are you doing?" He's like, "I have to finish digging your grave first." I wanted so bad for him after finish that, like, "Oh, I finished digging your grave first," to do the Joker laugh. Like, I might just cut that scene and throw the Joker laugh. He does the Joker laugh as he's running after her. I'm like, that would have been funny.
Yeah, I know it was. Awesome. It seemed like there was no more of Brent in that for a bit. Like, it just seemed like that had been taken over. Yeah, he had flipped.
Yeah, it pretty much had been, it's John Randall.
Yeah.
But was there intention for John Randall, the serial killer, to be taking over his body? Or is it that he was just driven so mad by the thoughts and all the feelings? Because I'm assuming that's what I think it was. With the eye came emotions and all that shit like that, because he had those fears, like when he got with the whole crib scene, the cigarette and all that, he had that and seemed like he was feeling that, and it was emotional and like physical for him. So I'm like, is the torment of the eye just making him go crazy, or is the actual like serial killer kind of taking over the body?
I think it was more the torment of the eye.
Yeah, that's what I think
you
too.
could go either way, but I wrote down. The lesson in this is muscle memory is a motherfucker, and alliteration is awesome.
Yes.
But eventually he gets sick of the eye and stabs it.
And then ends up killing himself doing that.
Did he die though?
He stabs it with the
did.
garden
He was in the morgue,
shears.
remember?
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's how the whole thing starts.
Yeah. So yeah, he stabs the eye and then
Like, you think if you're
and then
going mad,
he reads the Bible one last time.
Oh,
There's that passage at the end.
You see the Bible.
You
that
see
one
the
last
Bible,
time,
yeah.
so. And then we go back to the morgue, and what fucking 90s movie? You can't have a 90s movie. It's not complete unless you have Tom Arnold. And everything.
Yes.
You've got to have Tom Arnold and everything. And Toby Hooper was the other guy. And
Yes.
And the funky 90 beats. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got all of those funky town music.
You got to have
And then,
Tom
surprise,
Arnold and some
surprise.
funky music.
John Carpenter was actually
Dead the whole
Dead the
time.
whole time, yeah.
Yes.
I liked.
Like
I really liked the spinning shot at the end as
Yeah.
they're going up. I think, practically, I think it's a great shot.
Yeah.
He's a little hokey.
Oh, yeah. He
Carpenter.
plays it off.
Yeah,
It was-
it's really like hamming.
It is.
It up.
And it was
But
the 90s.
I don't mind it.
Okay,
like,
but think about this though. Like, if Showtime was thinking about this as maybe as like, a rival to, or an answer to Tales from the Crypt, then
Yeah.
you're okay with a little hokiness, because I mean the Crypt Keeper was definitely hokey.
Oh, yeah, he
And
was.
He had that cheesy, hokey, scary kind of like horror, like
I guess I
silliness.
think what my issue is because like with who's the guy that does the voice for the
Kassir.
Kassir, yeah. He's really great at public speaking and like doing lines and being able
Yeah.
to deliver. And Carpenter is more of the director. He's more
Yeah.
like, so he's not going to ham it up as much
Yeah.
as you would say an actor would. And maybe that's just what we're more used to.
Yeah, it's just maybe that we're not used to seeing him that way. So maybe if the show had gotten picked up and he kept on as the host, like it would have grown into it or been
Yeah.
more
Curious as to
used
that,
it.
though. Because even if they did pick it up, was he always going to play that? Or was it going to
Yeah.
be something
See, that's
different?
what I don't know either, because it was they said they shot it to the pilot. So I mean, who knows? Maybe those parts weren't even in the original pilot. It was
Yeah.
just the the mini movie kind of thing, and there was a different host, or they were going to figure that shit out later.
Because that's the one thing I would have been interesting to see. Because like
Yeah.
honestly, how hard of a sell would that be for to get John Carpenter on board to do it every single time?
Yeah, but at that point, I mean, he had done what he'd wanted to do, and he had, the world is his oyster. He's like,
True.
I've made a great deal of money with, Halloween. I've been able to do these other things, and he's like,
He is still making money on Halloween.
I mean, it really is that it's like, with Halloween and its success and everything, he's had the freedom to kind of just do what he wants to do. And so I think maybe that's what he wanted to do. It was like, TV shows are a lot easier to do, and it's a lot less demanding for people to work on. I mean, like, that's why you have a lot of celebrities that have, years in movies and stuff, and they'll do TV now. They're
Yeah.
like, it's just so much simpler. I have kids, it's a
Yeah,
lot
and they're-
easier for family,
and
to
now
be in TV show series.
Yeah, now the industry is really moving away from the crazy long shoots because they
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
people to be able to have a life outside of their career. And so like I think that Mom show, they have like a 9 to 5 schedule. So
Yeah.
they're really trying to revolutionize how they do these shoots and series.
Yeah, and if
stuff.
you want to get bigger names that are looking to maybe slow down a little bit, then TV is like I said, a lot of them will do TV shows. And it's
Yeah.
so much easier, like less demanding schedule wise.
And then you can just do conventions and then just
Yeah.
make money forever.
There you go. I don't know.
Take pictures
I
for
don't know if Carpenter-
$100.
I don't think Carpenter ever needs to do conventions.
No, he could make a shit ton of money though if he
Yeah.
ever wanted to.
Just one weekend. So, John Carpenter's people, please call us. We just want to have a one weekend with you.
One
We'll do 2 panels and then just sign stuff all you want.
We're not gonna like make you take pictures of your feet for people or anything like that.
That's a thing. Apparently, that's a thing. in the
Unless you
industry.
want to charge extra. I mean, do you?
I don't
do
know
you?
who wants
Yeah.
Carpenter's feet, but
Yeah.
now
yeah.
I could see other like actresses. I mean, like, can I take a picture of your feet? Like, I could see people asking like actresses.
Gross.
But
Yeah.
if anyone's asking
Yeah.
to take a picture of John Carpenter's feet, then I'm like, you probably.
He's
have
like,
some
you need to
issues,
get out.
man."
We're going to put you in jail because that
Some issues.
ain't
That's
right.
just because you guys are okay with women being attracted.
I'm not saying that it's more acceptable. I'm saying I would imagine it's more common. I don't know too many women that have foot fetishes of men. That's my
Yeah.
point. I think it's very more common to think that men have a foot fetish towards women So
Then
I would think,
I
vice
think
versa.
that's just. I just think that's because it's more mainstream
okay,
for men
fine.
to have a foot fetish
I'm
as
saying
opposed to women.
I'm not saying it's mainstream. I'm saying I've never heard of women that have a foot fetish for men's feet.
Yes.
Because men's feet are gross.
Yes.
That's because you don't like men.
Okay. So you're saying there's women out there with foot fetishes?
Yes.
I'm sure they exist. But,
Hey, there's lots of things in this world that
But to
float
be-
lots of boats. Okay.
but to be that specific, like God, John Carpenter's feet.
Hey, there are people. We just discussed how people are out there
Yes,
obsessing
yes.
over fucking no
You know
teeth
what?
having serial killers who would rather
I
kill
guess.
your ass than
Yes.
look at you.
Okay.
I once worked at this sub shop, and down the street there was a local it was kind of a local theater. It used to be whatever. Ron Jeremy was there one weekend, and I wasn't there. I wasn't working at the time, but apparently he signed one of the chicks I work with. He signed her boobs, and I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Cause it's Ron Jeremy." I'm like,
No.
and like,
No.
Have some pride in yourself.
No.
old dude. She wasn't
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most prideful person.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. So.
Who hurt her?
Apparently lots of people.
Daddy.
She'd been, some of the stories she told them, like,
Therapy,
I'm like,
ladies and
you-
gents, therapy. It
like,
works.
You need to love yourself. Girl.
Yes. And that's what Body Bags was really just trying
really
to tell
is.
us.
Just love
yourself for the hair you
Just
have.
roll with
love
the
yourself
punches.
for the eyes you have.
Roll with the punches of what happens to you. I do want to point out that the eye segment is very similar to a 1991 Jeff Fahey movie called Body Parts. Very, very like kind of old school underground movie that not many people remember. But basically, in Body Parts, after losing his arm in a car accident, a criminal psychologist has it replaced with a limb that belonged to a serial killer. So if I remember correctly, he got the guy's arm, and there were a couple other people that got other limbs.
Yeah.
And he started seeing shit and kind of the same kind of shit that kind of goes down this thing. But I think he ends up having to like fight some other guy that got some more parts and like basically turned into that serial killer. So yeah, it's another 90s movie. Like I said, 91 Jeff Fahey of all people. Like it's gonna be crazy.
People in the 90s were really scared about getting new body parts attached to them.
Well, think about it. This was when did they clone that sheep?
It was
Dolly.
it was the 90s.
That was
I don't
early or
remember.
mid 90s. I don't know.
I think it was
Somewhere around
mid.
there.
So it was
yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot on the brain, transplants, cloning, the
Yeah.
clone an arm and I get a new one. Like, nope, sorry, we only have serial killer arms to
Only
give you.
serial killers in stock today. Sorry.
So it's an eye patch or it's dead guy eye.
I'll take the eye
You got
patch.
any in blue? What do you got?
Nope, just brown.
I think that about wraps it up for this amalgamation
so.
of horror.
Yep, that was 1993 Bodies Bag from director John Carpenter. We are coming back next week with the remake of Maniac. In all of February, we are
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. We are stuck in a
Again.
loop, so we are going to be watching all the movies that we have already watched, but we are going to be watching the remakes of the
Yes.
movies we have already watched.
So next week we've got
Maniac.
Yes.
Yes.
We did the original
night-
version.
yes, the
and
Tom
now
Savini
we're
one.
doing the updated version with
With Elijah Wood.
Frodo
Wood.
Baggins.
So,
Yeah, and we're
yes.
going to have a lot more coming. We've got the crazies. We've got more coming. I can't exactly remember, but we got more. We've got the
some
crazies in there.
Yes.
If you guys have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at podcast@scarynerd.com. You can support us on Patreon by going to patreon.com/scarynerd. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Scary Nerd. And that is it for this week. We will be back next week. We will see you then. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.